Larry, Larry, I don't understand. Last time I came into your store, last time I came in to talk to you, you asked me for a Cabernet Sauvignon. I asked you for a Cabernet Sauvignon, and you said it's really not a Cabernet Sauvignon. And you showed me that it only requires 75%, 75%, not the top 1%, the 75% of the grape that it says on the label. And you showed me. You showed me that you have 75% Cabernet, you have 6% of the Merlot, you have 5% of Petit Verdot, you have 2% Syrah. So I said to you, okay, I like red blends. Where are your red blends? You said every wine in the store is a red blend from America. Now I'm really confused. Why am I talking like this? I'm Larry Baker, I'm not Larry David, but I'm watching too much of these debates. Hi, how are you? I thought I'd get some comedy in. It's just crazy. I'm nowhere near Larry David's impersonation of Bernie Sanders, but hey, I gave it a shot. Anyway, my name is Larry Baker, and I am a certified level 2 sommelier here in South Florida and here in the home studio in Debate Central, the Debate Central at the caucus here, in the wine caucus here in Sunrise, Florida. This is a problem. This is a problem. And I want to go over two subjects. What do they mean? I mean, if we've told you over and over, I've told you over and over, that in America, despite Oregon for Pinot Gris and Pinot Noir, and although some people do 100% varietal, in America the requirement is that you don't have to exceed 75% of the quantity of the grape that it says on the outside of the bottle. So when you drink Cabernet Sauvignon and you ask people where the Chardonnays are, and you ask people where the Meritage is, and where all these grapes, in order to put the name of the grape is really 75% of that grape, and then other grapes could be 25%, and then it's a red blend technically, but no, legally it's a Cabernet or varietal, whatever the wine says. If it's a California Pinot Noir, it could be 75% Pinot Noir. If it is a California Cabernet, it could be 75%. If it's Washington State and it is Cabernet Sauvignon, it could be 83% Cabernet, 77% Cabernet, and blended with 4 or 5 other grapes. And then you say, well, then okay, I like a red blend. But then where are the Cabernets? What's the difference between a red blend? And it gets really confusing, and that's why it also inspires me to shout out to my wine supervisor, Paul Quaglini, who wrote a nice little brief article on his Twitter account. Paul Quaglini, I think, at Twitter, or just look up Quaglini, and I think you'll find a link to that. But he was talking about not bashing grapes, but I know what he feels like when you're sitting in this it's very rare to find a restaurant. He happened to be down in Miami, but even so in Miami, I find that it's very hard to find an interesting wine list. You see the same things, even though it's 75%, you see the same things, the same brands, the same categories, and there's grapes, like Cabernet, Sauvignon, Merlot. I'll have a glass of Pinot Noir, have a glass of Chardonnay, have a glass of Sauvignon Blanc, have a glass of Pinot Grigio. And like he said, he's not bashing those grapes. I love those grapes. 100%, I would like 100% varietal, but even when they're not, I like those wines, and I can see why people order them, because that's the commonplace. But when you do find that treasure, or you do find that wine retailer, or you do find that wine menu, like he did in this situation, of so many unique varietals out there from all over the world, maybe Kolechik from Turkey, or maybe Alianico, by the glass from Campania, or maybe you'll find Nero Diavolo from Sicily, and maybe you'll find Bobal from Spain, or Mencia from Bierzo, and you have all these varietals, or Godeo from Spain and Valdeorras, and Albarino, and you'll have so much variety, and yet it drives us crazy. Why? That people would continue to order, with such a diverse list like that and a chance to try. They still go, is all you hear the waiters ordering and the people ordering. I'll have a glass of Pinot Grigio, I'll have a glass of Chardonnay, glass of Cabernet. And you say, why isn't anybody ordering the Vermentino from Sardinia? It's crazy when you've got so much variety. Sometimes stepping out of the box, as Paul said, is a really good thing and it's a fun thing. But when it comes to the category of red blend, it drives me insane myself. I'm confused by it. And if we just went by the style of wine that we like, and stop going by the grapes, which we talked about over and over and over, about being stuck in aisle 1 in the Cabernet and Chardonnay section of your local retailer, or being in that category, just constantly looking, I want a Chardonnay, and the 75% thing. It's confusing when you see a category. What is the difference of a Cabernet Sauvignon that has some Syrah in it, that has some Petit Verdot in it, but it's 75% and they call it Cabernet Sauvignon, then something that is called a red blend that has some Petit Verdot in it, that has some Syrah in it, that has some Cabernet in it, that has some, Malbec in it. What's the difference? Why is one category red blend, but the other one's over 75%? And then there's some California wineries, I don't want to mention any names, but in Paso Robles, that has their one wine, their Cabernet Sauvignon, which is 91% Cabernet, and then they have their famous blend, but that's also 91% Cabernet, and it's got 3 other grapes just like the Cabernet. And there's a famous movie director that has a wine, out there that's generic wine that you'll see, and people buy it all the time, and they'll ask for their Cabernet Sauvignon, but then they'll also ask for his Claret, a red blend, and a Claret is just a British term for a Cabernet Sauvignon. In fact, under the words Claret on this label, it says Cabernet Sauvignon. It's just what British used to call a Bordeaux-style blend of Cabernet Sauvignon with, a meritage of other Bordeaux grapes like Cabernet Franc and maybe Malbec or Petit Verdot in the blend. But so is the one that has the other label that says Cabernet Sauvignon. Here's how I take it, all right? Here's how I come to it. This is my definition of the way the labeling goes. And it's just like we talked about the sugar situation. To me, Cabernet Sauvignon, or those varieties, Merlot, that are 75%, that's a different style of profile what the American public wants. But the red blend category on a menu, even though they have the same grapes, but the one grapes, I just think they're more fruit-forward style wines. They're loaded usually with more Rhone varietals or Zinfandel and Petit Syrah and those Rhone varietals there, and you might have some Grenache mixed in, but they also may be a blend of Rhone and meats. I see a lot of those red blends, but Zinfandel usually is the main one. Why? Because it's jammy. Even 100% Zinfandel in America tends to be jammy, but they're usually blending in some Petit Syrah and some Syrah. So when people say those red blends, at least the popular $8.99 ones, $9.99, I like the red blend. It says on the bottle, this one red blend, this one is a crushed red blend, this one's a midnight red blend. I like that red blend. I like that. The midnight or the Inferno red blend or the silky red blend or the lush red blend. And what is the difference? It just means, to me, the more you get, more words you put on it, lush, red blend, whatever, they're still Zinfandel based wines and just more sugar. The more crushy they get, the more silky they get, the more sugar. The thing is, it just comes down to taste, and I can't even believe I get confused somewhere where to put the wines. I have a wine that has it's a Meritage, and it's a Cabernet Sauvignon with some Cabernet Franc, with some Malbec, with Carmenere, and it's not jammy, but that goes in the red blend section. But if I have a Cabernet Sauvignon that has 75% Cabernet Sauvignon, I'm going to be looking for that in the American Cabernet section, even though it's really a red blend. So should the two sections, should just the whole store, everything that's red, just say red blends? Pinot Noir should say red blends, and one giant store of red blends, but no. But if the customer comes in and says, I want this particular California Pinot Noir because I love the silky fruit, it's under the Pinot Noir section, when yet it's got 18 other grapes in there, and it's really a red blend, and it's got that sugary style. There's no, there's Zinfandel mixed in there, and there's even white grapes mixed into it. Now is it a red and white blend? It's crazy. But really, that's how I take it, and the bottom line is, a Cabernet Sauvignon, yes, in most cases it's going to be blended with some percentage of other grapes in America, and a Merlot is going to be blended with some percentage of other grapes, especially in the big bottles too, the 1.5 liters, but even in the $80 bottle, you see them. I have a Merlot from Washington State, Milbrand. It tells you, it doesn't have to, it says Merlot. I have Bergevin Lane Merlot, the Wild Child is 100% Merlot and 0 sugar, but yet the right next to it is the Milbrand Estates Merlot for, right next to it, which says on the back 83% Merlot, 11% Malbec, and 6% of Petit Verdot. But yet they both say Merlot because they legally are over 75%, and the Milbrand has 1.67 grams per liter of residual sugar, and the Wild Child has Merlot, but yet both taste completely different, and one is really red. They're both technically Merlot, but one of them they taste completely different, and the other one you might want to put in the red blend section because it has that more fruity or silky style and a little bit of residual sugar in there, and the other one doesn't, but they're both going to go in the Merlot section, and what the heck is the section that has the red blend? So that's the way I break it down. In that red blend section, when a customer or you says red blend, you really mean a jammy Zinfandel based red blend. You don't like dry wines. You like sweeter style or fruitier style, fruit forward wines with a little bit of residual sugar or a lot of residual sugar. And all those bourbon barrel wines, they're going to be in the red blend section too. And they're all Zinfandel based, and those Rhone red blends and those things that say the word, actual words, red blend, are technically usually, in my opinion, going to be more jammy style. Zinfandel is going to be a major grape in there, and Syrah and Petit Syrah because of those jammy styles. But it's really confusing. It still comes down to the basics of what Paul says. Try out of the box. Stop ordering by grape. Stop looking for red blends on the menu. I see, these menus, they divide it, red blend. I like menus that just, they tried it, and a lot of places still do it. It doesn't work because Americans love names of grape, but they tried by saying this is fruity, this is soft, light, and fruity. That's the way I used to do it in a restaurant, soft and silky, or do you like big, robust, jammy, high alcohol, spicy wine, and just break it down from all countries and just put them into category of flavor profile. I still think that's the best way to buy wine. But if you were wondering, if you were confused like Bernie Sanders was in the beginning when I told him a Cabernet Sauvignon was, not really Bernie, but the imitation I was doing was 75% and it had 5 other grapes in it as well, and they could still call it a Cabernet, and he says, I like a red blend. Well, then we have a different section for the red blend, which have the similar grapes in there. Why are we putting one? Well, it's under 75% and it's got 51% Cabernet, but still it's in that same flavor profile. It's confusing. So think of it that way. And think of it that way, is that the Cabernets, are only 75%, and the Merlots and the Chardonnays and the Sauvignon Blancs in America, that's the rule. Oregon Pinot Noir, Pinot Gris is going to be 100% all the time in those states, for those 2 grapes, Pinot Gris and Pinot Noir. But think about also that knowing all this craziness that's confusing you, there's lots of places you can get jammy grapes, you can get, also Monastrell's got Inky, but you don't go to that section in Spain because you want doesn't say red blend. There are Monastrell blends that are really that fruit forward. There's a beautiful blend called FYI that I love. That's Garnacha Tempranillo Cabernet Sauvignon from Valdepeña, south of Madrid. That's got that same style that you love for $10 that the $20 Pinot Noir had, and less grapes and better quality and less residual sugar, but yet you like buying the one that says the label Pinot Noir. Stop with the label. But remember, if it's category that says red blends, think of that as mostly Zinfandel. The ones you're buying in the $8, $10 category red blend, going to be Zinfandel as the main grape because it's jammy. And then the other grapes, if you still want to insist on going there, 75%, and that's the difference. But I still say the bottom line is you should branch out, like Paul said, especially when you do find a wine list that has either unique grapes or classifies them by flavor profile and not by grapes, you would be better off to think out of the box. You're going to be so happy that you did. For further information, you can come to the website here and sign up, and I will get back to you. And whether you want a red blend, just remember, red blend, think more jammy, and at least the way Americans categorize it, and that way. And you can get a Cabernet if you insist, but I still think the bottom line message is just go by flavor profile and forget all the names of the grapes anyway, okay? And as we always would say, as Bernie would always say, remember that wine is not for snobs. It is not for snobs. That is the top 1%. And I think if in Europe, in everybody, countries like Europe and Italy and everybody, Germany, they can take care of the wealthy people, not the snobby people. Everybody has universal good choice of wine for affordable prices, and that's what I'm about, because wine is not for that top 1%. It's for the other 99%. That's people like you and me. Remember that. Wine is for everybody. Everybody. And even stents are for everybody. You could be 50 years old and have a stent. And I got to stop talking like this. I'll see you next time on the wine show here, because I can't stop talking like Bernie Sanders. It's addictive. It's addictive. I'll see you next time. Have a nice time.